This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to the dawn. Welcome to Djuma, where it is a beautiful overcast 12-degree day. My name is Steve, I'm with Theo, and we are here in your own personal live African safari. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to what looks to be a beautiful, beautiful day from Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi sands, where we are still a little bit early for the sunrise, but it is beautifully building in the east. Very overcast day today. The clouds have pulled in. It's going to be a relatively warm day, starting off with a 12 degrees, which is really, really nice. And hello, everybody. My name is Steve, and I'm joined for the first time on my vehicle by Theo. Welcome on board, Theo. It's nice to have you with us. And everybody, as always, we have got questions and comments, and we would like to hear from you using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream or at FC on Twitch. So what we're doing this morning is we're checking the morning newspaper on this wonderful Saturday morning, seeing if there's any tracks on the ground, see what's come in, what's moved around, and then we'll take it from there. But for the moment, I'll just wait with you right there and allow you just to enjoy the start of the day as we will position ourselves in a little while, 6:45 or so, for the real sunrise. This is just the beginning. Okay, so while we do that, let's carry on, shall we? Got some tracks to find. Got to check all of those important roads and junctions, everybody, so jump on board. It's not that cold this morning. It's actually quite lovely. It's beautiful temperature, but the light is pretty dim at the moment, so we've got to take it very easy so we don't miss any of these tracks.
Good morning to all our viewers. We are currently here at andBeyond in Ngala, and I really hope that Steve managed to find some more tracks. We were very lucky. We came past the area where Eric saw the Pride yesterday, and it doesn't look like the Pride has hit anywhere, not even any tracks. So I think from yesterday until now, they've just been in the same area. So I'm Nikki here at andBeyond in Ngala. So I'm going to be your ranger today, and with me on the camera is Owen. It's just so excited being back and being able to see these lions. But I just want to focus on this one that's just off to our left here. So your right, but our left. And you'll see it's one of the youngsters that is currently grooming itself. Now you'll notice it's licking its front paw and then brushing it through the face. Now I reckon yesterday they probably made a kill somewhere. And because of how big that kill was, they didn't really need to move anywhere in a hurry, and there is some water in the area, so at least they're here. As soon as they get thirsty, they'll go down, drink a little bit, and then just lie down and conserve as much energy as they possibly can. But as Steve was mentioning earlier as well, it's quite a dim morning, and there's not a lot of light at the moment. And I wonder, like, what these lions are going to be doing later on, as soon as it starts warming up. Maybe they might start moving into a bit of shade. Maybe there's a chance they could move into the taller grass, maybe into the reeds. There's actually a line that is moving a little bit up on the ridge. There's some francolins or calling, and I wonder. So see where this line is lying down here, just above that onto the ridge. You'll notice there's another one moving there. It's hard to see because look at how well it camouflages. From there, go left, and then down. I'm just hoping I can still see this line. So if you go down like that, carry on. They're right there if you zoom in. And a little bit right. So I'm just trying to, yeah, there we go, a little bit right. It's incredible how well this line blends in. So go right there in the middle of the screen. Just look at how well that line blends in. I could not believe it. You know, when I was trying to find it again, every time I took my eyes off, I had to look for that little black patch at the end of the ear whenever it started moving, just to be able to see it. Anushka, one can. So with the female tracks, they tend to be a lot smaller in comparison to the male. When they are young, if there's, let's say, a lot of youngsters in a group, it's really hard to say. But once they get to 4.5, 5 years, there's a clear distinction. And I mean, even sometimes with different prides, you might find that there could be quite big females in there, where the tracks could be the size of a young male lion. However, with this pride here, the two dominant males as well as that younger male, their tracks are a little bit bigger in comparison to that of the female. So you almost have to compare them. And normally how I do that is whenever I measure my hand against the track, a big male lion's track would almost be as big as 12 centimeters, and a big lioness 10 centimeters and less, and smaller than that. So you can tell it by the size, but normally only at a certain age. When they're very young, it's hard to tell the difference. And I'm sure even experienced trackers sometimes would tell you that it's not easy in order to see the difference, especially in the type of soil that it stands in. In the river sand, sometimes tracks look a little bit bigger because as the lion puts his paw down, it actually spreads out into the sand. So if you look at this one here, have you noticed the color difference in this one in comparison to the one we saw earlier? You'll notice it's a lot grayer in color, more dark. Now this is one of the males. It could be one of the Ross males, which are the two dominant males within this area. Just judging by where it's lying down. And I don't know, I won't think it's the subadult, or not the subadult, the young male, because the young male would be lighter in color than that. Often I've noticed, especially with, have a look at this one here. There's a francolin that's calling, and I wonder if this one is trying to stalk that francolin. It looks like one of the youngsters. Maybe just meeting up with another lion. But so, as I want to mention, with some of the males, especially the older they get, the more of that grey tinge they have. But what I also want to do is I want everyone just to hear what we are hearing at the moment. So it's so quiet. You can hear the francolins calling. Now and again you'll hear the lions, little contact call. You just hear like a oop. So let's just listen. But it's so amazing seeing all these lions in this riverbed, early in the morning with all these noises. So I'm just going to sit here for the next little while and see if these lions decide to move anywhere, or are they going to hunker down here for the majority of the morning.
Good morning, everybody. We are at Djuma Private Game Reserve, where we did manage to find a leopard hanging on a tree together with its carcass. It's almost a little bit smaller. Their carcass, they are almost finished. So my name is Raymond. Also, I've got Greg as my cameraman. We are right over here to be. I believe that you will be excited to see something special like this, which is not definitely quite often. Some other areas, we don't have this animal. There's something special, which is a longing to show us that I'm full, I had enough. That's why it doesn't have that much worries. There is a poor hyena as well underground, which is also thinking maybe can pour something, can give you. It's a little bit waiting for anything to drop that can manage to have itself as a meal. But the leopard said, no, buddy, you need to hunt for yourself. So that's why it looked like very sad or shame. Oh, shame, can you give me something, please? And unfortunately, he won't get anything for himself. He need to work for himself, Wildcat. Normally, they are more active during the night more than during the day. They are active only during the night. They are nocturnal animal. This is a male hyena. Tells me that the male through to their ears. Krishna, during to hide is not the vehicle. The leopard can't be worried about the vehicle. Mostly, sometimes they used to. That's why over here they also managed to name them. That it's a Ralamba, because if it's keep on running away, they won't manage to see which one it is, because in our naked eye, all they look the same. But if you are very close or you see quite often, you can see the difference through the sky or through to the spot, which is very close, big spot, next to the ear or evenly the eyes. You can manage to identify which one is this one. So they don't have to worry about the vehicle. Bridget, it's not that much a guarantee for how long could be sleep for. Because over here, it's not really for purpose of sleeping. It's also depending evenly the purpose of protecting its meal. So if they are full, they can spend almost nearly 2 days without starting hunting, but they won't sleep in the same area for those 2 days. So they can move a little bit relaxing, and wake up for sleeping maybe If it is very hot, can sleep almost about the whole day in the same area, and then start hunting in the evening, only if it's full. But if it's not full, they're just to wake up, trying to check, and then relaxing. So not really believe that they are sleeping. We believe that they are relaxing, because they are animals. They also have got something, the predator, like a lion. If they can find him sleeping alone, they can kill him. We will stay right over here for a while. Maybe it will be something.
So you'll notice these ones have started picking up their heads, and they are staring towards where the water is. Now, it looks like one of the, or two of the Ross males, or and when I say Ross males, they are just in the name of these two dominant lions in the area where they were from. But you'll see the one has just gotten up and has started moving closer towards the one female. And I think that's why all of them are just looking that direction. Probably wondered if it wasn't one of the females getting, or the one female got up. And normally the females are the ones that would lead the pride and start moving. So when they get up, the youngsters are often quite excited because they know maybe they'll start moving. But notice what this male is doing. See how he's rubbing his back feet through the grass there. So what he's doing is he's just marking his territory. So he's urinating between his legs and then rubbing that through his feet. So as he's moving, he's leaving this trail of scent along. So that if any other male lions or any other prides come into the area, they know that this is the territory of this particular male with him and his brother. But he does look like the more dominant one in comparison to his brother, which is the one that we can see just off to the left. So Debbie, yesterday when we arrived, we tracked these lions not too far from the camp that we're staying at, and eventually when we found them, they came into the river. But what was interesting is one of the females was constantly giving these short little contact calls, like not a full-on roar, but a small contact call. And what was strange about it is all the rest of the pride, including the Ross males, were here. But the young female, I just want to listen, you might hear it, but there was something like a kudu, a lot of barking in the background. Just want to hear if I can hear it again. You see all the lions just picked up their heads now, listening to that noise. But I just want to wrap this up. So she was calling, and then I noticed that there wasn't any other lions missing from the pride, other than, of course, the young cubs that wasn't with that young female. But it tells us maybe she is looking for that young white female as well as the other younger male that is not with the pride at the moment, because those are the only two that are missing from this pride. So who knows? I mean, we've, as Eric mentioned yesterday, we know that they have been separated before, and there's no always a guarantee with lions because of how hard it is for them in order to survive and manage within an environment like this. However, there's always a chance that, who knows, maybe in the next week or so we'll be able to see her. But that's, as we said, there's absolutely no guarantee that we can see her, but I'm hoping so. But look at how this particular female also, the way she's sitting down with her head up and just listening. Now, maybe there is something to it because of her sitting up like that and listening, that she is hoping to hear maybe the young cubs, the female with the young cubs, maybe she's around. Maybe she's just trying to listen out what's going on in the morning to take it all in so that they can plan. Are they going to stay here? Are they going to move? But also it might be because she's trying to listen out for any other lion calls as well. But the best would be, as we spend time with them, we can probably be able to answer or not all the questions, but some of the questions. But even imagine now, with being wintertime, most of the grass now, look at this one here, also lying down in the sun, very comfy. So in wintertime, the grass is pretty hard. Particularly this area, there's a lot of the grass that have been fed upon, so there's little sticks sticking out everywhere. So the lions probably prefer this nice, soft sand within the river, just to come and lie down. Now, often the river could be a lot colder than the environment, than the banks and possibly further up. However, with this morning, it's overcast and it's not too cold in comparison to most of the mornings. It may be because it's not too cold. That's why they're also spending a bit of more time within the river. There's water, it's nice and comfy, it's not too cold. So it might be that they even stay here for the rest of the morning.
Well, welcome back everybody. Lions in the morning. One of the favourite foods of lion is definitely a beautiful kudu like this one. We're back on Djuma, and this kudu is enjoying a little bit of breakfast. Always amazes me with nyalas and kudus, you can spend a few moments with them and slowly but surely more individuals start to materialise out of the thickets. And if you were with us last year, about this time, you might recall how dry and desolate this place was, and the kudu were looking very, very shabby. Kudu are browsers, everybody. They feed on forbs or herbs, wildflowers, fruit, and leaves exclusively. And all the trees that you can see her hidden in are all red bush willows at the moment, or variable bush willows, and they've still got lots of leaves, so she's got lots to eat still. So she's still in very, very good condition. We've had a very, very good rainfall year, and so many of these animals are going to do much better this year than they have in times gone past. And I recall coming back from the Mara last year in October, or when was it, August, after the CGTN, and the kudu were looking in a very bad form. Those that managed to survive came through to the next year and had some babies, and those babies will be better for it. See if you can see the baby on the right there, Theo. Can you see it? Now have a look at this camouflage, everybody. You could only see it because it's moving. If that did not move, you would not know it is there. There's the strategy of these animals, to be quite cryptic. There we go. It runs a bit, the tail goes up, see if you can follow it, and then it stops. That is exactly the strategy behind these animals' safety, everybody. Kudu and Nyala, when they run, they flip their tail up, so you get this white patch. And if a predator's following them, they'll pick up on that white patch and go, there it goes, there it goes, there it goes, and then they'll drop the white patch and then stand dead still. And they can't see it. It's called freeze and flight, although it's often flight and then freeze, but it can be in that, it can be standing still, running quickly, standing still again. Alana, aren't they? So camouflaged. Now, I only saw the kudu because I stopped to see some impalas. We found some tracks of a female leopard coming in from our famous junction into the property, and they were very, very fresh, and they went straight in to the block at that area. And so we're just cutting around to see if the tracks have come through here. And quite often we spend time with these animals so that we can see how are they behaving. Have they seen a leopard? If they have, I'll often be able to tell by their mannerisms, their behavior. Are they a little bit skittish? And if they start shouting, well, kudu with their very loud bark is often an animal we are very reliant on. Look at those ears. Isn't she a splendid specimen? Nibble, nibble, nibble. What is that she's feeding on now? Oh, she's feeding on a black monkey orange. Very interesting. I got some tough leaves. Most of the time, they're quite late into the season retaining their leaves, but last year they were all lost, as with all the other trees it lost the leaves. But goes to show you, everybody, rainfall adds to the water table, and the water table, if it is high, means trees will actually maintain leaves. We talk about autumn, or we talk about, many people I think in the States refer to it as fall. A lot of that's got to do with temperature changes and the approach of snow. In South Africa we don't get snow, but we get many of our trees are deciduous, not evergreen, which means they lose their leaves. The reason for losing the leaves is not because of snow, it's because they lack water. And if there's no water access with the roots, they can't afford to have leaves, because the leaves will suck any water reserves that they have in the plant, and they'll dehydrate, desiccate, and die. But if they have still got access to water, they will maintain leaves, and they can actually go all year with still producing and doing photosynthesis. Remember one bumper year of rain up in the northern Kruger, had this Mopani felt that normally was always desolate of leaves, and because the water table was high, that Mopani band stayed green the entire year. And that is why our browsers are going to be quite happy this year. Hello, Momo. You don't know about the spots on her face. Well, you can see the stripes on the body, and you can see there's a bit of mane of fur on the back of her shoulders there. And then those spots are different, the stripes are different, and there's spots on the face and between the eyes. So essentially, when she stands still, you don't see a grey skin or fur pattern. You see a broken up pattern, which means that the spots, just like with leopard, have this 3D sort of breakup. So you're basically looking through the kudu, because the spots appear to be something other than the kudu's face. And so those spots enable them to break up the 3D characteristics of the jawline, of the face, of the eyes, and it's called disruptive camouflage, which means by looking at it, you can't quite pick it out against the backdrop or the foreground. And in saying that, we've got color vision. We can see depth, and we can't see her when she doesn't move. So a predator that sees black and white with no depth is all about movement and shape. And if they can't pick up on that shape of the animal in the thickets, it's practically invisible.
Yes, live, good. Welcome back to me. It is almost like the camouflage of most animals. They do have got some camouflage for themselves. I believe Steve have been explaining about even the design of follow of the nyalas. We do like especially the bulu nyal. It looks so pretty as well. So the camouflage for all the animals, even this leopard, you can see in front. You can see what color it is. It's gold or it's black or it's white. It is also part of the camouflaging, especially when it's hunting. They're trying to move very slowly, step by step. That mustn't crunch the grasses as it camouflages, evenly when they can hear a little bit, but due to the camouflage of its face, the spot in the face, it's a very, very smaller, more than the spot at the back. The spot at the back, it's a little bit bigger, but in the face, it's very close to each other. Sorry. It's a very small, it is very close to each other. If you look at the back, those spots, it's a little bit bigger. When it comes through to the front and the head, it's a very smaller and very close to each other. That it helps them to camouflage as well. That can manage to win when they're hunting. That even they sometimes can crush whatever as it is, those animals mustn't see exactly what it is. They all thought maybe it's sort of like a grasses have got some spaces, while it is the leopard. So to camouflage mostly, it helps each and everyone to hide for themselves in the bush. So it's right over here. If you can listen, the birds are also singing, telling us what is happening. Some they are warning, some they are calling each other. So let's have a little bit moment of silence to hear those birds. Yes, Jana, yes, maybe when the times goes on, I want to be honest to you. I'm just new in this conversation. I don't have exactly my favorite, but maybe when times goes on, I'll choose my favorite leopard, which one it is. But I do like leopards very much. All the leopards to me, because where I'm from, it was difficult to find a leopard like as we find in this area of Sabi sand. So leopard mostly once after 2 to 3 months, and it also running, not like relaxing like over here. Can listen very carefully. There are some breaking branches. Yes, so the hyena can wait until the sun getting a little bit hot. They are nocturnal animal. If they see that there is nothing, like now, that hyena is gone because there is nothing to get, so they'll come back again. So if it is during the night, they wait until the following day, waiting to see if it can get something as they're scavenging. So for them, they believe that it should be left over that they can get. So they can stay the whole night waiting. But during the day, they can wait maybe 2 to 3 hours. And from 6 to 7, 8, once it's like that, they'll have to move back to their den. So as we are here, we have got the sound of breaking branches. Yeah, we'll wait a little bit over here and see if that elephant are coming right over here. I heard some breaking branches of elephant, which we can manage to get the elephant together with the leopard at the same time.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. My name is Clive, and I will be your guide this morning. And behind the camera today is Marcel, as per usual. And we have had a fantastic morning so far. Driving out through some areas we hadn't really seen too much yesterday afternoon. So we just were driving around and we came up to our airstrip. You can probably see the airstrip in the just in front of this cheetah. And here were these cheetah. What an absolutely lucky find. We actually saw some impala all looking into the grass, and then as soon as I turned my head and looked into the grass, there they were. So it was very, very lucky. Now this cheetah, I'm sure all of you who are regular viewers are getting to know quite well. It's the mother with the two cubs. The two cubs are just off on our left on the road. The two slightly older cubs. And this is just so special. Now a lot of animals will actually come out to the airstrip here to sleep at night because it's nice and open. They can see all around them. They feel safe here because they can see all around them. And that's possibly why they're in the area. You can see she's quite active. She's walking quite carefully. It looks like she is looking for any opportunities to possibly hunt. Cubs seem to be doing the same, kind of keeping low, keeping out of trouble. And there were quite a few impala here earlier, but obviously with cheetah around, and they saw the cheetah, they moved off relatively quickly. And then far in the distance there's a herd of wildebeest, but that's probably a bit too big for her. Oh, and the sun has finally just come through. Lovely. Theo, yes, cheetah do den like the other cats. All the cats, cheetah, lion and leopard, have got very short gestation periods. Of all three of them are around about 3 months, which means that when the youngsters are born, they are born... sorry, there's a big bird flying over the cubs. I just want to see what that is. Wow. Looks like a juvenile martial eagle, I think. Sorry, so when the cubs are born, they... it's a tawny eagle. Right, got it. Yeah, so when these cubs are born, they're obviously born very underdeveloped because of such a short gestation period, which means that the mother, when she gives birth, she has to keep them hidden in a little den site, usually for a month and a half or so, plus minus a month and a half. And then when they have had a month and a half to kind of grow up, get slightly bigger and be able to walk through the grass, and I mean, even when they're born, they're blind, so they just develop for another month and a half, and then she'll start leading them out to kills, and that's when they'll start eating meat. Oh, this is really, really special. And this weather that we've got now, it's a clear day. It's still nice and cool this morning. It's actually quite perfect conditions for her as well. Oh, the cubs are on the move again. Oh, look at that big stretch. Look at that. Look how low they're keeping. Remember I was saying they kind of just try and follow behind the mother, but look how they're bending right down to stay out of view of those wildebeest in the distance. And that's exactly what they are looking at, actually. And that camouflage is it just shows you how well they camouflage into this brown grass at this time of the year. Oh my word, that cub in the front has got a big wound. George, no, they won't really split up, but the more dominant male will be the one that will stay with the female and mate. The other one won't be allowed anywhere close. So it's usually quite an aggressive time for male cheetah. Oh, and she's down. Yeah, usually quite an aggressive time for male cheetah, lots of fighting. But no, they won't split up too far. Male cheetah especially, they don't like to be by themselves for long. They want to try and find their brother as soon as possible. I think let's just get ourselves up into a slightly better position where we can see them a bit better. So if you can just give me about... Or while we're getting into this position, maybe we'll let you carry on with your drive this morning and we'll stick with these cheetah.
Good morning, everyone, from another, as always, fantastic morning out here at Tswalu Kalahari. Jean-Ray hit the road this morning at 6 o'clock, so an hour or so ago, and he says thank you very, very much for that wonderful bird book from everyone, so well done. Davy is with us now, and I know for the next 8-9 weeks, whatever it is, we're going to have an amazing time together. So it's fantastic that you can join us on this. Our thinking this morning is I still owe everyone an African wildcat. So we're not going to give up on this. We're going to keep trying. We know this area that we're in is very, very good for them. We've seen a couple of sightings of them in this area. So we're just going to keep ambling down here very, very slowly. And then as the sun comes up a little bit later, we're going to start moving back over to the meerkats, and because remember we've skipped them for I think like a day or two now, so we're going to actually just try catch up with them and just see what those little pups are up to and that. So that'll be really, really cool. And yeah, just ask us questions, chat to us. As always, it is just really, really good to be out here. It's a bit chilly this morning. I missed something on the weather forecast there. It hasn't frosted for the past 2 weeks now, but there's a really nippy wind blowing this morning. Yesterday was a gorgeous day, but there is a nippy wind blowing this morning, so I don't think the meerkats will be up too soon. But yeah, let's just go out there and have a totally amazing day, and I know it is going to be an amazing day. So here some of our colleagues they've got Cheetah already. Johnny says they're so excited to see the meerkats today, and no, I think the meerkats are going to be good. And we were actually chuckling about it yesterday, not yesterday, day before, with Veronique, the meerkat habituator, who's also on leave, by the way, so Rebecca's back. But those little pups are becoming a real handful, and they're growing so quickly. So I think the next 2 weeks are going to be a whole pile of fun while we're sticking with those meerkats. So let's go find a wildcat.
So talking about a whole pile of fun, you'll see right in front of this lioness is a young cub. So it looks like the cubs have joined up with the rest of the pride. Now, they are moving into quite a dense area where we can't possibly see them if they move in the tall grass, but we'll just wait here patiently. Hopefully they'll come back into the river, but very easily disappearing. Oh, there's both of them into that grass there. We're trying to follow them now. Imagine with these youngsters as they lie down now. Look at that. Easily just vanishes. Now what's quite nice about this whole scene is a lot of the individuals are slowly starting to wake up. You'll notice just off to the right from where these cubs were, there's one female that turned around onto her back. There's actually another one that just collapsed on her, but because of the grass it might be difficult to see. We'll just wait for them. I don't think it'll be too long before they'll start moving into the open. Just notice here off to the right, the one just fell on top of the other one now. Now what I do enjoy, especially when looking for a pride of lions, is that often whenever they had quite a big meal and they are near the water, and there's no real need for them to conserve too much energy because they know they can still go another couple of days without having to eat. Because of that, they do, especially the youngsters, they do get very playful, and they'll start chasing each other, jumping on each other, or try and hunt one another, where they'll stalk each other, jump on top of their backs, and it's pretty amazing to see. So hopefully we'll be able to see that. And with it not being that cold, maybe there's a chance. And also not that warm, so we'll just have to wait and see. Papa Dog, from what I saw in this particular area is, so just to move up here from the lions, on that question, is I'll get to the vulture. There's a vulture that has just landed up at the top of the tree here. So with some of the animals that do follow them, I mean, you'll look here at the very top, you'll notice there's what looks like a very interesting raptor of some sort, but it's a vulture. So you'll notice the beak quite sharp, and this is the hooded vulture. Just knowing from these 5 different species of vultures you get in the area, and the one with the slender beak in this particular part of southern Africa is the hooded vulture. Now, with the hooded vultures, Cape vultures, leopard face, white-headed, they can often, especially if lions made a kill, come and feed off the scraps. Hyenas, jackals, and even possibly leopard. If lions have killed something and they decide to move on, there's a little bit of scrap left. You sometimes find that leopards could possibly go for it. But in general, lions tend to feed off as much as they can, and it's only the jackal and the hyenas that will get little bits of scraps. And of course these vultures. And look at this one moving closer towards the other one that was lying down. Probably going to investigate, see where the cubs are. You'll see with the cubs moving into the pride, often the younger lions, especially I've noticed the younger females are the ones that are a lot more curious than the younger males. So they'll go and smell the cubs and might even give them a little tap just to see if they can get a little reaction from them. And I think that's what this one is doing at the moment. Because all you can see is a bit of movement right in front of that lion, and that's the young cubs. Victoria, it all depends. I mean, even with these 2 males here, so they form a brother bond. So they refer to that as a coalition, so that means they stick together for life. So within, even though they are, you can sometimes get brother bonds that could be up to maybe 4, 5, 6 male lions, and there would be a dominant one amongst them. So if one of the younger of the pride, let's say a sub-adult that's now 2.5, maybe going up to 3 years, if he starts marking his territory, then he'll offend those males. But not necessarily these 2 Ross males, because this is their area. It doesn't really matter. It might matter when they get closer to the pride, that if, let's say, the least dominant one, which in this case might be the one that is lying down there, and the more dominant one would be the one that's now slightly off to the right, that is standing and currently marking his territory, moving around and marking his territory. So he might get a bit offended if that other male is marking in this particular area here. However, in general, he doesn't mind it because he knows, him and his brother, this is their area, and they'll defend it. So any other male other than them, within the pride, as soon as they start marking, it would offend them.
Yes, indeed. For the lions, there are also territory. Even the leopard, they also make their territory. it is an opportunity for them to protect for themselves. For example, the leopard, they are solitary. That is, as they are solitary, it's only the male occupy the very big area to protect all the female ones until they get a young one who is going to take over to chase the male one away and take his territory. So the female one also have got their own area which they can mark for themselves, where they can manage to have a chance for relaxing. That if someone come on his area, I said, this area is for somebody. Let me go this side and hunt while he got a chance to get his own meal. They are solitary. And if someone can come over, it will be a problem. They will have to fight. No matter it's a female one, once she's fully grown, she don't have to rely on its mom. So its mom have to do its own, and even the young one have to do its own. It's not the same as the leopard, the lions, which they can be protected by one together with the cubs and the female one. With the one make its territory for a pride. So still relaxing and looking around, telling us that, no, I am free, where am I? We were also hearing those elephant breaking some branches. We believe that maybe they will come closer, that maybe we can get something at the same time. So let's have a little bit silence. Maybe you can hear the breaking branches for those elephants. Bex, my first young leopard, which I ever see, I think it was almost about 2 months. So it was very, very tiny because and Kruger actually and those private like Balole, they are not that much relaxing. But right over here, some other people, they saw evenly on the first week when it's born. I was almost about 10 years old, because where I'm born together with those animals. I'm staying together. We are still in Kruger, where we stay. So mostly the young ones, they keep on together with the mom until they're fully grown. If you look at the female one, we can't manage to see the tail. They have got a white tip to show that it's a female one. That's sort of like a follow me sign that they keep on following its mom, because the white color is brighting evenly during the night, during the day. So they keep on following its mom by the tail, and evenly the mom calling them by the tail and the ears. Not quite often that you can be lucky to find the young ones, because evenly the mom is trying to hide them for everything. Sometimes you can evenly use the hole, like a termite hole, to keep them until they complete a month, so where they can manage to follow its mom while they are still very young, it's not easy that the leopard can take them because they can't walk long distance. So she needs to keep them until they manage to walk a little bit more, almost about 500 meters to 200 meters, whatever, from the beginning until they manage to walk very well. We'll wait a little bit until maybe, we'll move on to see something because those elephants, they are not coming this direction.
All right, welcome back, guys. And the mother cheetah has moved off right into the bushes. But you can see this one cub keeps looking up in the tree, and that's looking straight up at the tawny eagle that flew over them just now. This is quite different colors on a tawny eagle. You can see the head is like a dark brown, or I suppose a lightish brown, and the rest of it's quite white. So this is actually a juvenile tawny eagle. And these two cheetah cubs are looking up into the tree at it, and he keeps looking down. Look at that. Look how he's looking down at the cheetah. I've definitely never seen this kind of interaction before. I think the cheetah cubs are lucky it's not a bigger eagle like a martial eagle or something. But these tawny eagles are still pretty big, but they're not the strongest of eagles, so not too much chance of a meal for them, luckily. Here comes the other little cub back out. Yeah, I'm surprised. The mother cheetah's moved off into quite a thick area on the right of our airstrip here. So I hope she comes out, because I don't know if we'll be able to follow her through there. But at least for now, we've got these two little youngsters out and about in the open. Looking very mischievous as well. He looks like he wants to climb the tree, or who knows. It'll be interesting to see what they get up to here. So for those of you who don't know these two little characters too well, they are probably in the region of about 6 months old or so, even 7 months old now. And still very playful at this age, so maybe with it starting to warm up now, it looks like they want to start playing with each other. Even now, it looks like, watch this. I think this one's going to pounce on the other one. Watch this. Oh, no. That wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be, but they definitely have found something of interest down at the base of the tree there. You'll see they're both smelling the same little spot there. And what cheetah will do, especially male cheetah, is they'll go up against a prominent tree, which this marula tree is. It's a prominent tree in this area. And they will lift their tail up and actually scent mark, urinate on the tree, which will let other cheetahs know. For males, it'll be marking out their territory and letting other cheetahs know that they are around. And for female cheetah, maybe if they're coming into estrus, it'll be for males to be able to find them. So that could be what they're smelling. Maybe a little while ago, a cheetah urinated on that tree, and they will still be able to pick that up. That eagle has no idea what's going on. He's looking straight down at those cheetah. Oh, look at this. Maybe the mother just called them. Look how they're both running off into the bushes. Anna Marie, you're saying the cheetah cubs are looking really healthy, and yes, you're right. The one we did notice had quite a big gash or a wound underneath his leg. Had quite a big gash or a wound under his leg, but I'm hopefully that little wound gets a bit better. But otherwise, they're looking very, very, very healthy. I'm going to go up ahead and see if we can find where these cheetahs have gone. And again, we'll let you carry on with your safari while we do that.
Good morning everyone, first of all, and welcome to Eco Training Pride Lands Conservancy. We're sitting with a huge elephant bull who came very close to us a moment ago to say good morning. So we've given him a bit of space and let him eat his breakfast because, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It's absolutely essential, especially if you weigh 5 tons or 6 tons maybe, I'm not sure. Welcome, my name is Michael Anderson. Behind the camera is Gert, and as I said, you are joining us here at Pride Lands. And I'm glad that you joined us because we're with Kumo, that massive elephant bull that we're all becoming very, very familiar with. He's still sticking around, still got his friends around. It's wonderful to see him just here in front of us, as you can see. Busy moving some bushes and shrubs, trying to get to the grasses and things. Absolutely spectacular. He walked right next to us just now. We were on the road and he decided to come and say hello. And the whole vehicle only stands up to about his shoulder there. It's amazing to see this elephant towering above you, just investigating and then walking past. Such a powerful animal, you feel humbled to have them so close. It's been a nice, dark, relatively warm night, so the elephants are in a good mood this morning. Nice and chilled. They had a good rest. You watch how he's putting whole clumps of that dry grass right into his mouth. Soft eyes. Oh, what are you doing? The roots are stuck in the ground. He's trying to pull them out using minimal effort. See those clumps of herbs just being stuffed into his mouth. Elephants are eating all sorts of stuff, and a lot of the stuff they're looking for now is not the dry grass, but the small herbaceous plants. So you'll see it's using its trunk to sniff around, looking for particular little herbs, and it plucks them out the ground, shakes the dirt off, and then throws it in the mouth. Dried herbs are really, really tasty. Maybe the fragrance is quite condensed right now. It's probably why the elephant dung is often used in all sorts of traditional ceremonies, as well as to keep insects away, because the smoke is quite fragrant when you burn it. Super nice to see this relaxed elephant. So there's a question from Finn about whether all big males like this are solitary or whether they are in groups. And this particular male is solitary at the moment, or he looks like he's alone. But in the distance, we saw a whole bunch of other elephants. In fact, yesterday he was with a group of 13 other male elephants. So no, they can be solitary because they're so massive. There's nothing for them to worry about danger and predator-wise. But they're quite social animals, elephants. So whenever possible, this elephant will like to be with others. So often young elephants, in their mid to early teens, get pushed out of their mother's group because they're getting a bit large and a bit too aggressive with the other elephants in the group. And so the mothers push them off, and then they might be solitary for a short while until they find a group of other males to hang out with. Remember, male elephants are not usually welcomed in groups unless they're there for mating. Then they're allowed. But yeah, Kumo, this big elephant, is not alone. In fact, there's another elephant behind, sort of across the road, who's slowly coming in towards us. So sometimes they're alone, but not for long. And remember, they can also communicate over huge distances. So when they do communicate over long distance, you'll know that they don't need to be super close to each other. What have you spotted there, Gert? Is it a buffalo? Is it a log? It's a buffalo log. It is a buffalo. Look at that. So well camouflaged. Yeah, that's amazing spotting. So not only have we got our big elephant bulls, but we've also got the herd not the herd, the bachelor group of males, at least one of them, sticking around here. We're on a bit of a crest, so it's warmer here than it has been in the valleys close to our camp. So all the animals, although they were in our camp last night, they kept Gert up a lot of the night. They've all moved to this little hillside in order to be warmer. Mayday is asking if we can identify elephants. Definitely, Mayday, elephants are identifiable. They live a long time and they've got tough skin. So when they get damage on their ears, on their trunk, or wherever on their body, we can notice that quite easily. So, for example, the elephant that was close to us a moment ago, we know him as Kumo, and that's because he used to have a collar. So the researchers in the area told us that it was Kumo. As we followed him, the collar fell off at a certain point. Actually, Taylor and Gert managed to recover that. But in order to identify him now, we noticed that he's got a big scar on the front of his trunk. So we're able to identify him by the scar. Many animals can be identified, some can't, some are very difficult. Impala, for example, very difficult to identify them individually. But it's nice to get to know the individuals in a group, especially when you're working on a particular area. It's very, very awesome.
Okay, so what we got here, it's a bog standard hole. It's a spring hare hole, so there's these little nocturnal rodents. We call them hares, but they're not. They're actually rodents that live down here. They come out at night. Occasionally we see them in the day, and one of our guides got fantastic footage in broad daylight the other day of two of them fighting. Like really, really, really cool stuff. But what I wanted to show you at this hole is not so much about the spring hares, but rather about the shell ducks. This is the size burrow that shell duck's using. And I think I mentioned it's probably, to my knowledge, I could be completely wrong. It's only the second or third time that they've ever been recorded down spring hare burrows. They're normally using these slightly larger things like aardvark burrows. But to give you an idea of the size there, your hand almost covers that hole. So these shell ducks actually can use holes this size. And of course the security afforded to them by having that smaller hole is massive, because there's just a lot less chance that any predators can get down there, or if they try get in, it's just going to be a huge amount of digging in that to get out. And so that's really cool. So, and the other thing, I just wanted to put it out there, and we're going to check it when you get home. I'll try Google and see it, and if any of you want to do it in the meantime, welcome to. But I would be very surprised if anyone's actually filmed, like live on camera, shell ducks getting in and out the nest. And Davy got that for the first time yesterday. So that is absolutely mind-blowing. So he's actually got the footage, so it's banked, it's there, it's done and dusted. It's just a pity it wasn't live. That was completely out of our control, unfortunately. The gods were conspiring against us, but kudos to old Davy there. Good man, but well done. So, but anyway, so on that note, we're going to carry on and see if we can find this wildcat for you. Or not one. Let's get a wildcat and kittens. What about that? Aim for the stars and you'll hit the trees. Just don't aim for the trees, that's all. So, wildcat time it is.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
Thanks to be back to me. We're still in Djuma Private Game Reserve. We was having that little leopard, which it was sort of now look like a flat cat on a tree. Doesn't do anything good. No action about it. So we also hear about this breaking branches of the elephant, where we thought maybe they will come very close to there in order to get a 2-in-1. But unfortunately, those elephants, they decided to take another way to go. So we moved to relocate them until we find them right over here in front of us. Elephants are very, very marvelous to me. I do like them. Are the animal that can manage to communicate and have got a full respect. Look at how they are eating. They also have got a hand like a human being that using that hand to help for themselves to get food, to choose what they are eating. And as they're moving on ahead, this one we call it sort of a breeding herd, because they also have got some babies. And they lead by one female one. I remember when I was working at Londolozi, there was an elephant called Cap. Cap, it was my name. That elephant, it was always be in a lodge most of the time. So I went to the kitchen trying to take something. As I threw it on the ground, I put in a basket, I put it over right in front of. Therefore, that elephant used to take that one, and he used to know me exactly. So if he saw me, he was expecting to get those oranges, and 2 oranges and 1 pawpaw. I give it to him, and then he keep on every time and again. He jumped 2 days, the third one he come. Jumped 2 days, the third one. So people, they said no. They know that it is 2 oranges, 1 pawpaw. It is 1 day, 1 day, 1 day. 1 day, 1 day, 1 day. So, but it was fantastic because he was not afraid. Finally, when he come, it was not putting over there because firstly I was a little bit get nervous to get closer. But finally, when I used to, I was holding the basket with my hand like this. Therefore, that elephant take that one once it's finished, so that the basket is empty, turn around and walk away. That tells us the elephant have got a very good memory. He showed you that you are the enemy or not. Like us, where we are standing, they just relax. They don't have any problem. They know what they are eating. They know that a human being, it have got blood. They don't eat anything which have got blood. They're only eating. They are vegetarian. Oh, look at them. Oh, no. Oh, no, that's nice. Fly, that's a good question. 100% that you have to know exactly that one. Elephant can give you some warnings that I'm no longer happy about it. So once you're stretching the ears and pulling the trunk up, you're stepping towards you. You will have to know that it's no more happy. It is over. But can give you almost about 5 warnings before charging you. The first one, it is for the leg moving as it wants to go, that I'm aware about you, but I don't cross about it. And swinging the tail aside, that's the second one, to show you that, don't get closer, don't get closer while standing. If you keep on coming, it's taking the trunk up and down, showing that, no, I'm not happy at all. But once it's fully grown, it's fully stretching the ears. No more grazing, pulling the trunk up and stop exactly over there. You need to go away. So once it's starting to come to you, that is the end about you. Can manage to do anything about you. But if it's keeping flipping the ears, no matter how close it is, can flip the ears at a distance of 2 meters or 1 meter, it's not a problem. As long as it's still flipping the ears, waving the tail, it's still happy. That's a good question, thanks. Yeah, I can see those boys, they keep on playing, that they are happy because they are together with their mom. Pushing each other to see how powerful am I. I can have more power to you. And the other one said, you know, I've got a power to you. Keep on pushing each other. Look. They are playing. most of the time, if it is very hot, they are flipping more ears every time and again. But now, because it's not that much hot, you can see their ears is flipping just a little bit smaller, slowly, taking a little bit more time, But if it is very hot, it's keep on flipping, time and again, just to cool up its body. They've got some veins behind the ears that they're using those veins to cool up in order to cool up the body. Oh, nice one. I need us to hear the sound and what of the bush and what are the elephant crunching, breaking the branches, if you can hear. Not at all, Adam. The baby elephant like to play, so it can't charge you. But if it's coming to you, the mom as wants to protect its baby, it can be the one who can cause you a problem. Because if the baby comes to you as playing, the mom will thought maybe you wanna kill or you wanna steal its baby. So therefore, as a protection of its baby, he has to come to you and say, yo, baby, come. If the baby doesn't come, you need to move off because the mom wants to protect its baby. Even yourself, if you are still young, if you go for a place where they see that you will get injured, they will call you, hey, don't do that. Please, maybe you want to play with a fire, they see that you're going to burn. Yourself, you thought maybe you are playing, but the mom, she knows that you're going to burn. You won't play by the fire. So he said, don't get. Sort of like that. They can't charge you, Adam. Which they are eating. It's called the buffalo thorn. It's very nice and sweet. And even in our culture, we'll wait right over here a little bit for those elephants.
So some members of the pride have gotten up now. See, this is one of the females that are moving away from the water, but with most of them, like when it starts getting a little bit further on into the day, they might eventually go and just find a spot in the reeds or down on the bank on the right and go and decide to just lie down for the day. But with most of them, they are very relaxed. And just from having a look at them for the last little while, they're not going to be heading anywhere pretty soon from here. So maybe even later this afternoon we can come past here again, see if there's any signs of them, if they've moved too far. But what I wanted to focus on as well, do you see the young white male in the back? Have a look at the scars, especially on his back leg as well. Now, it might be from when they were further off the reserve that there could have been a bit of conflict with another pride, which could have resulted in those injuries. I don't know. Can't imagine the siblings playing that rough with him. And also the Ross males do tolerate him quite a bit. So unless it's inflicted by possibly one of the animals they tried to hunt, or maybe conflict with another pride, because sometimes with lions, when they do chase, especially the younger males, they tend to grab them around that back part. But you'll notice the other ones there's a little wild date palm right here in the riverbed, and most of the lions some of the lions are lying down there. You'll notice just off to the right, there's a little one. So that's the young female. So that's the sister of the young white one. Oh, I think this female is now marking her territory right next to that young female. Michael, with that young white lion, I'm sure if we don't see anything in the next week, then we can possibly say it from there. But the only little bit of hope that I do have for her is because that young male is not here, the chances are that if they had, or let's say they had separated from the pride, there's a chance that she could stick with him. As long as she sticks with him, he will still be capable of chasing hyenas, wild dogs, leopards off their kills, and then they can have that. However, if she had split away from that particular male, then it's hard. Then, to be completely honest, within a week or so, if we don't see anything from now on in a week's time, then we'll probably know that she might not come back to the rest of the pride. So we don't, I mean, there's sometimes with the environment like this, there is that hard reality that could possibly happen. But I've also noticed, that especially with lions, they are very hardy animals. And there's a good chance that if she has stuck with that young male, that we could possibly see her. But I would say maybe it's safe to say within the next week, if we don't see any changes, then we can probably take it from there. So what I want to do from here is with these lions, knowing that they might not head anywhere pretty soon, or if they do move, not for too far distances, there is a big open area just north of from where we are now that we're hoping to go and explore and possibly see if there's any signs of cheetah in that area, or even maybe wild dogs. But for now, these lions aren't going to be heading anywhere pretty soon.
We have moved a little bit away from those elephants, and we found a big buffalo bull going through a very, very, looks like a relaxing grooming session. You can see that young red bull. Oh, never mind, not so relaxing. Getting right up in my ear. Get out of my ear. I cleaned that yesterday. So it's a challenging view. It's behind some sticks, but these oxpeckers are busy trying to glean dead skin and parasites from this old buffalo bull, the one that we saw a little bit earlier with the elephants. And it's quite interesting to watch how they do groom. Oxpeckers are, it's like a cleaning station. But the one, I can just see it at the top of the screen there. This one doesn't look like it's actually grooming. It's grooming itself. It's sitting on the buffalo, though, probably trying to get warm. It's a young bird, quite small, and birds are small anyway. They don't generate their body heat very efficiently. So they're sitting on the back of the buffalo like this when it's a cold day in order to stay as warm as possible. So you can just see the top of the screen there on the left-hand side. There's an adult red-billed oxpecker with its red bill, and then there's a juvenile with the dark bill. It's nice to see them hanging out together. The juvenile is learning everything it needs to from the parent. And right now it's learning that being warm is more important than running around, or flying around, we should say, because it is a bird. Birds are flying, generally speaking. So the buffalo just now did not enjoy the oxpecker going into its ear, but we actually saw the oxpeckers going in its mouth just before it came on camera. It was literally, it might do it again. Watch, here comes the little oxpecker. Oh, in his ear. Oh. It's probably quite uncomfortable with those sharp little claws constantly digging into its skin. I mean, the skin of the ears, they're in the mouth again, in the nose. Oh, man. Nothing more delicious than a bit of nose juice. AJ is asking if male and female buffalo horns are different, and that's a good question. At first glance, it might be difficult to tell, but if you look at this buffalo that's on the screen here, this old buffalo bull, his horns are very big and very dense, and you can see on top of its head, it's got a thick layer of this keratin-covered bony material. That's called a boss, and the males fight with that boss by bashing their heads together. Females, the top of its head won't have that thick, horny, knobbly structure. It's much more slender, often with a lot of fur in between. Very much smaller and more slender, because the female buffalo are only really using their horns maybe to defend themselves from predators, not really to fight over dominance. So they don't need that big, horny structure on top. So if you didn't know buffaloes very well, you might not be able to tell the difference, but once you start to look at them, it's not so difficult to tell, especially the older males. Young males may be a bit more tricky, but these old buffaloes, this size, it's not so difficult. They've got that heavy boss. They call it a boss. Because the bosses group. They are doing most of the protecting, and they also lead the group. Sometimes they're known as pathfinders. They'll be walking of the buffalo herd, finding the best food and the best ways to water. This particular buffalo is very old, so he's no longer part of a herd. Just likes to stay wherever it's warmest and most comfortable.
We've just got a fantastic sighting of Pygmy falcons. That's the female that you're looking at now with that beautiful russet on the back. And there was a little male sitting just in front of her now. He's just darted off. It actually almost looked like he was actually going to chase something. So he just disappeared into this thicket. I'll keep my eyes open. But this is a gorgeous sighting of a very, very special little raptor. You may recall that we've seen them a couple of times before, and they nest in these massive sociable weaver nests. And at about 40 yards away from this bird, out to the left of the frame, you can't see it now, but there is a big sociable weaver nest that they may actually be nesting in. And what I'll do is at some point over the coming days, I'll try get you a really, really good sighting, close-up sighting of the nest itself, because they're quite distinctive. And then you can understand exactly how they're utilizing these big sociable weaver nests. But it's nice to see them just, there we go. Okay, so they don't nest typically like other raptors do on top. They actually take over one of the nest chambers of the weavers themselves. And the nest becomes very, very distinctive because they leave this, the falcons, leave this rim of droppings all around the lip of the nest. And we had a researcher here about a year ago that was actually doing some work on trying to figure out what is the reason why they would actually be defecating literally on their doorstep. You know, what are the benefits of that? And there's nothing conclusive that's come from it, but it is, so that's one of those like open-ended questions. Why would they be doing that? And there's a number of different theories, in terms of nest identification. Perhaps it can help with reducing parasite loads at the nest, that kind of stuff. But there's nothing conclusive that's come of it. But it's just interesting to note that. But Darby and I will actually show you one of the nests up nice and close, and to give you some idea of how they're using those sociable weaver nests. But how's the setting, everyone, with the mountains and it's just gorgeous out here, man. Absolutely stunning, and not what you think of in the terms of the Kalahari. You think Kalahari, it's this like absolutely arid area and rolling sand, but I mean, look at that. And having the structural diversity in the landscape actually really increases the biodiversity of an area, because you've got just so many variations in habitat, and not just literally the physical, you got mountains and sand, but you got the different aspects. So you got north-facing slopes, which are hot and dry. You got south-facing slopes, which are cooler, and you got these deep gorges and ravines as well, which stay shaded for most of the year. So it really creates this incredible diversity within the physical landscape, and that can increase your biodiversity in a massive, massive, massive way. In fact, we've got plants growing here, for instance, that are very typical of grassland areas and high altitude, high rainfall grassland areas. So that also, these mountains can act as refugia in the face of climate change, which we know is happening, and actually help harbor species that wouldn't normally be occurring in these areas. But, as we were saying, back to the wildcat. We are still looking for the wildcat. We actually in like prime. Kelly has asked, do Pygmy falcons, I think the question is, do they kick them out to use the nest? That's exactly what they do. And it is quite interesting, Kelly, because the weavers don't have a choice, but there are. And not the cats, what do you call those things? The falcons will actually catch weavers sometimes as well. But there are other benefits to it as well. Nests that have got weavers are 3 times less likely to have predation by Cape cobras on those nests. And we know Cape cobras are huge predators on nests. They can account for up to 70% losses of chicks in a season. So, you might, if you've got a pair of Pygmy falcons in your nest, even if they're catching a couple of you and your chicks every now and again, they're certainly not going to be taking out 70% of your chick population. So it can actually be hugely beneficial just to cut your losses and say, oh, well, we prepare to sacrifice the few for the many. But it's just interesting how that works. So these big open areas, you'll remember we've done this a couple of times over the past week or so. And but we know there is a wildcat that lives in this area. It's been seen here 3 or 4 times over the past week. Once by Genre and myself, and then the rest of the times with or by Veronica, our Meerkat habituator. So we just need to keep our eyes peeled. They are incredibly cryptic little animals. They are small, but if you don't try, you don't stand a chance. So, and any one of these bushes, literally, it can be at the base of the smallest bush. It doesn't mean it has to be like, these cats, they don't need a lot of cover in order to hide very, very effectively in this area, in these environments. And there's just so many burrows here. Every little mound of sand, it's a rodent burrow, or there's spring hares, there's meerkats, there's all sorts of things out in these areas. So it's all good prey items for these wildcats.
Thanks, Dylan. Good luck with your wildcats. We've been on the mission, haven't been with you in some time. If you concerned yourselves, thought Theo and I maybe disappeared. No, we've been here. Been working around. We weren't able to pick up on any fresher sign of that female leopard that went into that block. She hasn't come out. I did try work a little bit, but there's no sign, unfortunately. So we're going to be working possibly some tracks for where Tundi was last seen last night, and checking, or yesterday morning, checking where maybe a couple of her old little den sites. Yeah. See if maybe she's brought her cub in. I haven't seen a cub track yet, but I did hear on the radio yesterday morning there were tracks of Tundi with her cub, and then she was found without it. And we'd like to find him. Many of you out there would like to find him. He was seen last week by a number of the landowners on Torchwood, but not on Djuma yet. But we're holding fingers, and we'll see if we can come right.
So we came to Ndlovu Dam at our camp, and we've got the rest of the group of buffalo bulls just walking in the far distance. They spent the whole night at the dam last night. Lots of noise. We had buffaloes, elephants, and hyenas in the camp, so we don't think they're going to come and drink. They look like they're walking to find better feeding spots. It's nice to have them walking past our camp. It always keeps our students on their toes. They need to know that they need to keep their eyes open and peeled and all that stuff, because these are potentially dangerous animals. Very, very slow, plodding, methodical movements often tends to make people think that they're a bit dopey or not very clever or not very fast, but these buffaloes, if they want to, can outrun a human very easily. So we must always be alert, especially when walking out in the bush. Very, very important. The water otherwise very, very quiet. Hardly even a bird calling. I think it's because it's cold and cloudy and a little bit windy. These old buffalo bulls. Nothing needs to be rushed. Take your time. Lovely leadwood trees surrounding our waterhole as well. We saw an elephant nearly pushing one over. In fact, we saw an elephant, Gert and I, breaking a huge, massive branch off a leadwood. It was very sad. These trees last a long time. When they get broken down, it's very sad. Bridget's asking if buffaloes overheat due to their fur and colour, the darkness of the fur. Absolutely, Bridget. I'm sure they get very, very hot during the heat of the day. You'll find these particular buffalo bulls will go and rest in the shade, close to a waterhole and a drainage line on soft, cool sand, and that's because they are, big, large animals with dark fur. They don't want to be in the sun because they do heat up. Although, Bridget, I've also heard a theory, and it makes sense to me, that sometimes when buffaloes are suffering with lots of ticks and parasites, they'll actually go and sit in the sun, because then their body will heat up very, very quickly, especially the surface layer of their skin, and the ticks that are sitting there don't like it, and they end up maybe moving off because it just gets too hot and uncomfortable for them, and they go into the sand, and then the buffalo ends up getting up and moving off and leaves a lot of the ticks just on the sand there. So it's quite clever. They use it maybe to their advantage, the fact that they can heat up. But yes, that's where the name Bridget Dugger Boy comes from, because Dugger, that mud substance that they rub all over their body when they're mud wallowing, keeps them cool as it evaporates, and also protects them from parasites. Really, really clever. Can oxpeckers transfer disease from animal to animal, Buddy Weiser? That's a good question, and certainly they do eat ticks and parasites which have blood in them, and so I suppose it is possible for them to transfer ticks and disease. I don't know if that's exactly the way. I know fleas definitely do it, so I would say yes, probably, because fleas cause a bubonic plague epidemic in Europe, so fleas definitely carry diseases, and so ticks probably do as well. In fact, I know of tick, for any of you meat eaters out there in the US, which if it bites you, you can actually become allergic to meat, which is quite amazing that it can do something like that. But yeah, certainly I think they do spread disease. That's why a lot of animals like wild dogs and hyenas, who den in in an old termite mound, let's say, will often, after a couple of in a specific den site. Sorry, everyone, just trying to maneuver my comms a little bit. Will often move their den site because the tick load, the parasite load, gets too large, and they want to move away from that because, of course, spreading disease. There's a problem at the moment. I was reading up about a pack of wild dogs in this area, which of course is incredibly rare, that over the last couple of years has dropped from 15 individuals down to only about 6, and they're not sure. It could be because of disease spreading through the pack. Remember, they're very, very close associated animals. They will lie on top of each other and live with each other and sleep next to each other, so of course the disease can sway. So yes, buddy-wise, I think ticks and fleas and other things can definitely spread disease. So it's always good to keep away from those things. If you're ever walking in the bush, always check yourself carefully for ticks afterwards. I know you can always spot a guide, or especially trails guides who walk in the bush all the time, because they'll have tick bites all over their legs and ankles. And we get something called tick bite fever, which is very uncomfortable. I've had it lots of times. It makes you feel so like soft. So yeah, watch out for those parasites and things. We're going to sit here and just enjoy this waterhole for a little bit longer, see what else comes down.
So we've just come right to the end of this open clearing. This is where Jeandre and I have seen that Wildcats a couple of times, and Veronique. So we're just going very, very, very slowly. We're literally just idling along here. It's probably going to be trying to sit out this wind. This wind is freezing cold. This really took me by surprise. Yeah, I just checked the temperatures this morning when I was like, it's mild. It was like real feel was -1 or something, which is okay for you, and then rising pretty quickly after that. But this wind is going right through you. But we are going to get a wildcat for you guys. We are going to get a wildcat. And then, so we're just going to go slowly through, and then we'll amble up to the meerkats. Maya's just asked a great question. She says, why are the wildcats so difficult to find? Okay, number one, there are lots of wildcats out here. African wildcat, I'm talking about this very specific kind of African wildcat. But they are the size of a house cat. Okay, so they tread very lightly. So to actually physically track a wildcat, which is very, very light over this kind of terrain, is very difficult. But they're very shy animals as well. You know, they're shy and they're incredibly cryptic. They blend in with this environment so well. So it's really a matter of just being persistent, and then also working areas where you know that there are resident ones. This area is a very, very good spot for them, and especially at this time of the year, they like hunting around these burrow systems, and that's why we just go from burrow to burrow to burrow. But yeah, they are, like I said, they're cryptic, they're shy, and difficult to track. So those are probably the key reasons why we battle to see them. And Davi and I were chatting about it earlier. It's like very often what happens is when you're ambling along, when you least expect it, and it's like, geez, there's a wildcat. So I'm not going to object if we have a sighting like that. Any sighting will be a good sighting. And the other thing that I was chatting about there as well is, or that comes to mind, is please just remember, when I say, and it'll go for any of our guides, our colleagues down in the Lowveld as well, they'll pin in that as well. If we say, okay, we are looking for wildcats, we focused on wildcats, it doesn't mean that we can't see other things, you know. And often what it takes is to have your mind focused on a specific thing, because then you're going really slowly, you're concentrating, and that's often when you start seeing other really cool little things as well. So when I say we're looking for wildcats, we can be seeing anything at the same time. So like there's a leopard with cubs out there on the left. I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, wow. So Jamie's asked, do wildcats sleep in trees? I was joking about the leopard, by the way, but don't panic. Do wildcats sleep in trees? Yeah, they do sleep in trees. They will often also sleep in these massive sociable weaver nests. They'll sometimes sleep on top there. And the problem is a lot of those nests, because of the weight of them, they actually get like a slight indentation on top. It is the perfect place. I've seen leopards out here sleeping on top of sociable weaver nests. I've seen caracal sleeping on weaver nests. I've seen cheetah up and down trees on weaver nests, giant eagle owls, Egyptian geese, spotted eagle owls. So these sociable weaver nests are also very, very good spots for. Okay, what is that there? No, it's a bird. Okay, no. I just saw like a shape there. So yeah, they do sleep in trees as well as down burrows.
We've managed to find a whole herd of buffalo, which is fantastic. We just saw those few older males crossing, and now we found the whole herd. There's about 40 buffaloes here. And now is a good chance to see the difference between males and females. So now you see all the herd spread out there. So the males are these ones with big, heavy bosses. These are youngish males. You see, they haven't got that knobbly boss just yet. But then there's a female at the back there walking there, just in front of us now. There's a female. Do you see that? She hasn't got that very big, heavy boss on top of her head. This is awesome to see. We haven't seen a herd like this for a little while. There's about 40 here, and they're all walking together, moving towards where that older buffalo that we just filmed a bit earlier, which is great to see. Just slowly moving across this grassy area. They will drink every day, so they probably drank at our waterhole, or one of the waterholes, last night or in the evening, and now they're moving across to good feeding. I'm going to have to reposition us shortly because they're all moving into a bit of a difficult spot for us. Give me a few moments. Alrighty. This is super cool to see. Some young ones as well. So now you can really see the males and females and the young ones. I haven't seen any calves yet, but there's some that are under here. Oh, hello. They're obviously not that used to having vehicles around them. But it's, wow, it's an amazing sight. I'm just going to turn us now. Oh, that's a view. Okay, I'm going to stop right over here. What a view. What an awesome group of animals. This is very cool to see. Remember, these are part of the big five, some of the most powerful animals that you can find in the whole of Africa. These things, look at all those horns watching. So you see how they all look up, they've got their noses up. And they know what we are, certainly. They're smelling us, wondering, do they mean us any harm? Of course, we don't mean them any harm. They've seen vehicles before, they look relatively relaxed. Some of them are still feeding. See how all the bigger males are standing in the front, closest to us. These are what we were talking about earlier, the pathfinders, the ones who walk up ahead, make sure it's safe, and find the best places to eat and the safest pathways to walk. Calves and females in the middle. And then at the back of the group will be another bunch of males, usually maybe older males that are very, very powerful, but maybe not as quick as the others. See this one here. Big, strong male, still in his prime. Hasn't started losing too much fur yet. Big, strong boss, thick neck for fighting. And then all the females at the back there just waiting to see that it's safe. And the one with its back to us now, with its backside to us, that's a younger one. And the one in the front, see how its horns have not got the boss yet. This is a female, young female. Horns are just starting to widen. Oh, you've got a bit of grass in your mouth, like Huckleberry Finn. Heading out on an adventure. There'll be lots of flies following this group as well. Oh, Joy is asking about bovine TB and whether it's still a problem in the Greater Kruger area. Definitely, Joy. There is a lot of bovine tuberculosis in the Lowveld and particularly in the Kruger National Park. There aren't many buffaloes, I think, in the Kruger National Park that wouldn't have TB. It's very, very contagious. But generally speaking, if the buffaloes are in good health, they can control it and keep it at bay. But if they start losing condition, getting older, it can affect them. A little bit of a a grunt there from one of the buffaloes. Does not like this other old male coming near him. So there's certain places where buffaloes are... Ooh, big strong male there as he's showing the moose boss. He's a big one. So in certain places in South Africa, reserves actually have a double fence, and inside that reserve there are certified tuberculosis-free buffaloes, and so you need to have a certain distance between the fences so that there's no chance that a buffalo could eat grass through the fence and leave its saliva there, and then another one would eat it and then potentially spread the bovine tuberculosis. And of course that TB is even transferable to other animals like lions, for example, that eat them. Many of the lions in the Kruger National Park also have tuberculosis. But again, if they stay healthy and strong, it doesn't affect them too badly. Once they start losing age and condition, it can create some health effects. This big buffalo, look how strong its shoulders are. This is definitely one of the dominant buffaloes in this group. Everyone keeps it, all the other buffaloes are keeping their distance from him. Remember, they've got power, 800 kilograms of muscle, and when they're in a bad mood, that's 800 kilograms of rage. We don't want that. Very curious buffalo. See how the ears point forward towards us, and they've got a lot of fur inside them. Do you see that? That makes it so that they can really focus on the sounds that they're looking for, cracking branches and grunts of predators, that kind of thing, and blocks the wind. So that when it's windy, it's affecting them less. Isn't this great to see? Have any of you seen a massive herd of buffalo before? This is only about 40, but if you've ever seen a huge herd of buffalo, like 1,000 buffalo, maybe in the Kruger or elsewhere, I'd love to know about it. Don't forget to send your questions in and comments. #WildEarth on Twitter. Any kids? Kids questions at wildearth.tv.
So from something like a buffalo that Mike just had to something a bit smaller. So we're actually having a look at some blue wildebeest. But what we really wanted to capture was just the whole scene. So you can notice the dark grey clouds in the back. And it's contrasted with this little bit of greenery within the trees. And of course, a lot of more of a creamy color with the grass. And then the shiny color off the reflection of the sun, just off the backs of these wildebeest. Now, it's quite a small size wildebeest herd in comparison to the bigger herds of buffalo that you often see. But in some areas, I mean, whenever the wildebeest and the zebra move together, like the Great Migrations up in East Africa, you find thousands of wildebeest together. But here it's just a small group. And I often just enjoy watching animals for quite a while, and especially the colors. Like, I mean, from those that have been watching the show, you'll always notice that I do enjoy talking about the different colors, because it always stands out for me, and it's something that I think sometimes we do take for granted, because there's always different hues of colors, and with different individuals you might find slight variations within it as well. But the whole landscape here is so beautiful. Now we have the wildebeest here with, of course, this beautiful morning. Notice the dark clouds, the sunrise just off, or the sun right off to the right, and then off to the left you'll notice there's a big tree with these massive black nests. So Emma, they are related in terms of if you had to link them back in terms of their genes. However, in terms of closely related, not, because they're completely different. I mean, you'll find that the wildebeest or the gnus are more related. So the blue wildebeest will be more related to the black wildebeest, but not so much the buffalo. The buffalo is a completely different species, but if you had to follow it back, at some point they would have been related. But in the nearby relatives, no. But just to follow up, so there's a tree just off to the left here, and you might just hear, I'll try and be quiet, and you'll hear there's a few birds that are making a lot of commotion. Now, this particular, so if we go into this, it looks like a dead tree, but it's actually just the marula tree that's lost most of its leaves during this time of the year. But those actual nests there are built by these black birds with quite red beaks, known as red-billed buffalo weavers, and they're completely made out of thorns and twigs. And what's interesting about it is, so let's say, for all I know, the kids do enjoy often just a little bit of talk about survival lessons, but often if you would be in a survival situation, these birds tend to build their nests on the western side of trees, the west and the northern side. And a lot of theories are because in the early part of the morning until later in the afternoon, the sun comes up in the east, like towards the center, and because of that, it's a very warm part of the day. But in the late afternoon, where the nests are situated, is when it catches that late afternoon sun. So it's not too harsh so that the eggs actually go rotten. But notice there, as they move into the nest and out of the nest. So just to show everyone how these birds look like, I just managed to grab the page in the book to show everyone. But you might just hear, as we said, you might hear the noise in the distance. It's not too loud. But if you look over here, you'll notice it's a very dark bird. And there's a little light patch over here on the shoulder, right there. And if you look over here, remember we're talking about a very bright red beak. And as you can see, even with the description here, you'll notice there's quite a lot of thorns around, because that's how they built their nest, using a lot of thorns. They are communal birds. You'll find a lot of them often together in an area, and quite big flocks. But yeah, I just wanted to show that. But for now, it is a beautiful scene with the wildebeest. You can hear some other birds call, the rattling testicular that's calling, and then of course these buffalo weavers up in this beautiful marula tree.
Thanks, Nikki. Well, we've decided to pop in and see how Princess T is doing, everybody. No one else is here. We figured we might as well come spend some time with her. And we find her in the same position as yesterday. Look how she's sitting on the branch there, with her bum on the branch, her legs hanging down. Such a clown, isn't she? Such a clown.
Can someone just quickly tell me what...
Now, she had quite a full belly yesterday, and you can tell that she's still got quite a full belly. That probably 2 hours of the show last night, we had her eating. But she was looking at us nicely a moment ago, and now she's put her head on the other side. So let me just quickly reposition, Theo. Let's get around so we can show you a pretty face. Those of you who've never met Kalamba before, where have you been? She's been on the last 4 drives. This goes to show that she wasn't that hungry when she caught this little male impala. She'd probably just finished a meal, but they're so opportunistic, they can go from one meal to another. Oh, are you moving your face again, precious? Theo, tell me when you're happy. Right there. Happy? There she is. Hello, pretty one. Now, what's nice with these sightings of leopards making kills, everybody, is that you can almost be guaranteed to find them there for a few days. Depending on the size of the kill, depending on how well they've managed to hoist it. Bearing in mind, I did discuss this quite in detail yesterday. If a leopard kills an animal that's too big for it, like Tamba, which is Kalamba's older brother, he killed a female kudu, a big female kudu. Female kudu is just enormous, and he had no chance of hoisting it. But I know it's very sad what I'm about to say, but he managed to open up her belly and found out that she was pregnant. So it took the unborn calf and hoisted that. But by that afternoon, the hyenas found the kudu on the ground, and they made very short work of it. So leopards can kill big animals, But if they're not able to secure them in a tree, they will not be able to stay with that meat for an indefinite period of time. It's one of the reasons why we talk about how hyenas and leopards and lions have got bulletproof stomachs, because they can feed on rotten and decaying food. Cheetah and wild dog, we often talk about them being very, very fresh meat-related animals. They aren't scavengers. They've never developed the strength and the physicality to scavenge from other animals, so they are very fresh meat eaters. Whereas leopards, eating over time meat in the tree, they've developed that ability to digest it, not get sick. Look at that belly. There's digestion happening there, believe it or not. Lions as well. There's no bigger scavenger than a lion or a male lion. And hyenas, as we know, very well know, obviously all these animals like fresh meat, but they can eat very, very old, rank stuff. Joy, that's a good question, and the only way we can work it out is by actually looking at the carcass on the right over here. You'll see that it's a little young male impala, and the majority, and you see him there, Theo, just to the right, you'll see that there's still a head and a neck. If you're a sensitive viewer, it's a good time to look away. There's bits and pieces of the legs, and mainly stomach that is there. So there's not a lot left. So I wouldn't say she would be here tomorrow, but she might still be here this afternoon. There is the intestines and all sorts of internal bits, everybody. Bearing in mind, none of it will be wasted. None of it will be wasted. That which she does not eat will be left on the ground and will be eaten by hyenas, and the stomach content will be utilized by insects and also then eventually returned to the soil. Okay, enough of that gruesomeness. So I wouldn't say, Joy, that she'll be here later than this afternoon. She might move off this afternoon to go get a drink, and she might not return. It all really depends on whether she's not that hungry and needs to move. But she'll definitely go move to drink. But if she feels the need to come back, she will come back. Go ahead, Fan. It's just myself. You're welcome. There's another vehicle coming in to join us, everybody, but we're just going to stay right where we are. So for the size of that male impala, she's been here for a very long time. Not a very big animal, which goes to show and gives us the idea that she wasn't that hungry. But you know what it's like? You're not that hungry. You still stock up your cupboards with food. You go shopping once a week, don't you? Some people once a month. Stock up your food in preparation for when you're going to get hungry. At least the only other animal that could take the carcass in the tree would be another leopard. So yes, definitely that is always something, a risk for a female leopard like that, especially a male coming along and competing. That's why she's very alert to sounds, very alert to movement. If something does materialize, if it's a male, she'll probably run out the tree. She won't even try to stand her ground, but a female leopard, she'll become very aggressive towards. Become very aggressive towards, and I don't know what she's looking at. I might be interested in the new arrivals. See how her ears are constantly moving. Even though she's full, she's very alert. So I'm going to stay here with her. And maybe she'll get up and do something more exciting.
We're still with that buffalo herd. We just decided that, we very rarely see herds this size, so we might as well stick with them. And what's interesting is that there were plodding along very methodically in a certain direction. Then all of a sudden, they turned around and plodded back the opposite way, literally on their own tracks, which was so weird. We moved to make sure that we weren't blocking them or anything, and they just turned and started marching somewhere else. The pathfinders obviously decided, you know what, that's not a good way, and then they changed direction. They've stopped now, more or less, and they're feeding on this very dry grass. They're not far from Ndlovu Dam, so it's quite possible that as it gets warmer, if they've been feeding on this dry grass, they'll go and drink water at our dam, which we'd love. I'd love to see this big herd coming down to drink. See, all very, very calm now. Everyone's relaxed. In fact, where we are sitting right now, this morning, just before the show started, we actually saw a leopard. Very briefly. Big male leopard just ran across the road. We tried to find him again, but no luck. It's the same leopard we saw last night, just as the show closed as well. So it's very interesting. We thought maybe that these buffaloes would smell something, or they had smelled something, that's why they changed direction. But they weren't making alarm calls or, grunting or, stampeding at all. They just sort of changed direction. Very, very odd. Lots of oxpeckers following them. So see the oxpecker on the side of this buffalo. Very, very important that we pay attention to that. In fact, we drum it into the students to listen out for oxpeckers. In fact, you'll often find during the day in the camp, everything's quiet, and then there's just an oxpecker flies over, and 5 or 6 students will all point to the sky and say, "Oxpecker!" Because we need them to be able to recognize that, because the sound of an oxpecker can often indicate that there are some large animals around, especially something like buffaloes or rhinos. So we need them to be alert and aware of that, so that if they are ever walking, they'll pick up those sounds. A herd like this makes a lot of other noise as well, so it wouldn't be difficult to hear them from a ways off, because they're often grunting and groaning, and the sounds of all their feet, and especially if they're all feeding together, it's quite noisy. Now they're all just resting. A few of the buffaloes kept going the same way they went. The older males, so maybe they just tagged along with the herd for a short time, and when the herd changed direction, they decided they weren't interested. See their tails still flicking around. Lots and lots of flies follow herds like this. Because of all that exposed skin, you can see a lot of these older buffaloes don't have too much fur on their backs. Even the female, like this one that's closest to us, doesn't have a lot of fur on her back. So, there's a starling on it. So starling on the back of that buffalo, which is interesting. Starlings are in the same family as the oxpeckers. So Joy has asked another question about whether buffalo males are always the pathfinders. And essentially, yes, the young, strong male buffaloes will walk at the front of the herd for protection, and then some other strong buffaloes will walk at the back also for protection. So generally speaking, it is always the males that are the pathfinders. But that's not to say if there weren't any males in a group, or very large males, let's say for whatever reason, a female buffalo would also take the lead and start walking and leading the way to the water hole, the good food or whatever. But generally speaking, Joy, yes, the male buffaloes are the pathfinders. They decide when and where to move. Remember, I say generally speaking because in nature there are no hard and fast rules. We're learning every single day new stuff, new information, new behaviors of animals. Because of course we get this amazing opportunity, and so do you, get this opportunity to watch animals for hours and hours every day doing their thing. And slowly over time we start to see different stuff. Good questions, Joy. Keep them coming. See now the buffalo are changing direction again. They seem to be slowly wheeling around and heading back in the direction where they were originally going. Not sure. Maybe it was the smell of that leopard that just made them think, oh, we need to go somewhere else, there's a predator. Of course, a leopard wouldn't be dangerous to these buffaloes. They are far too big for most leopards to attack. But still. Butterfly is asking another question about how fast buffaloes can run. About 45 kilometers an hour, I'd say. A buffalo, which is very fast, actually. Much faster than we can run. They are surprisingly nimble animals. Not sure what 45 kilometers an hour is in miles per hour. Probably something like 35 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour. So still pretty fast. Maybe that's a bit much. She'll do a calculation whilst I think about that. But yeah, definitely fast enough for us to not think that we can outrun a buffalo, that's for sure. I think you divide by 1.6. Yeah, just under 30 miles per hour, I think, a buffalo. When it's galloping along. when you weigh 800 kilograms and you gallop at that speed, or you run at that speed, you'll smash through most trees and bushes. So not as fast as something like an impala, but certainly fast enough.
I believe you did enjoy the head of buffalo, where you did massive you see the bull ones, which are very, very, very much aggressive sometimes if it's alone. So right over here we have got a tree. This tree is called a silver classic, which is, in African people, it's a very, very good. So call it silver classic, but now because it's a little bit winter, you can see the back side of this leaf. It says look like a silver, so that's why it's called a silver classic leaf. So this tree, it is very good for wood, and you can make some pole. It also have got a cambion layer. That cambion layer, it's where you can make some rope. Evenly, if you want to present someone, you can make a bracelet. Now I want to braid it to make a bracelet. You will see how pretty of that bracelet it will be look like. And evenly the rope is very hard, tight, that you can, long time ago, as we need to have some cows. So if you are in a bush and you see that the calf is milking and you're also hungry and you can't go through to that one without tied the legs. So you manage to make something like this as a rope. That rope can help you to hold the legs in order to, for yourself to get milking. And I'll show how easy it is. And once I braid it, you will see how beautiful it is, that braid. It must have got 2 colors. That braid is a braidless. You will see how it is easy and how quick it is to make something special. And the roots for this one, it's also a medicine. While I'm braiding, I'll also tell how medication of this tree. The leaves, it's also good for stomach ache, evenly for the nose. If you have got a running nose, you got a flu, so you can rub it and you inhale that flavor. Evenly to chew, you can chew it. It's also good as well. So I won't make that much long, because for you it will be a little bit more complicated, but it's so easy and fast as I was. Been in a bush for a long time. African people, they use everything to save money, because it was difficult to get money, but it was easy for everything to live. So if I do need it, I'll give you an example for something very special. For this bracelet. So long time ago, if you see a girl and it was difficult to approach, so you will have to make something to show that you are interested to her. So you just come with sort of like a bracelet like this one, and you go and tie it on her hand that you are already choosing her. You can see how it is, this bracelet. It looks so perfect. So as I said, I won't take that much longer. It is a little bit difficult, so now I will have to give it to Trish, my bracelet, she will think about it, what she's going to do. Easy, guys. So I can cut it if I've got a knife to cut it, and this bracelet stay like that. So that tells us that I already choose her in front of all those ladies. So we will move on towards front if we can find something. Very good. Okay.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
So Davy and I, we've just got down to the Meerkat burrows. There's a bitterly cold wind that's been blowing the whole morning now. And I really underestimated this. So these meerkats are still down. They might come out quite a bit later this morning, I'd imagine, than normally. But we're just going to stick it out here and see how long it takes for them to come out. It might be another 5 minutes, it could be another minute, it could be another half an hour, we don't know. But like I say, this wind is pushing out the northern, from the northerly quarter over here. But I think it'll warm up quite quickly later in the day, but at the moment it's still pretty cold out here. So that burrow that's closest to Davy, so directly in front of Davy, there's a lot of activity over there, and then these burrows out here more to the middle, to the center side over here. So there's a stack of activity over here, so we know they're around, and it's literally just going to be a matter of waiting it out now. I'm guessing with the warmer, this very mild temperature that we've had over the past week or so, they've just been able to spend a lot of time out. There's been a lot of foraging. So there's been a lot of foraging activity going on in that. So I think they're probably not too hungry. And just remember as well, please don't forget to, if you've got any questions for us or our colleagues, to send them to #WildEarth, and let's see if we can actually get good answers for you. If we can't answer them while we're live, we will find the answers and we will make sure we get them to you. It's just great being out here, you know, even with these cold temperatures. We've got a herd, you can't see it from where Darby's sitting, but we'll move just now. And we've actually got a herd of springbuckets down the bottom over here. So there's some nice activity around here in the area. And no sign of predators at these burrows, which is very good news for these pups.
Thanks, Dylan. Well, I hope the meerkats show themselves for you this morning, with Davy being over that side. I'm sure he's super excited for the new animals. Well, everybody, we're still with the princess, and you're doing a very lovely tracking shot of her sitting. Oh, wow, isn't that wonderful? Now, as yesterday, she keeps moving her head. So we're trying to get you a wonderful shot of her face, and then she moves it. So I'll bet you as soon as I decide to reposition and move back and get you that gap again, she's going to move it again. So we're just going to stay here, because this angle, if she puts her head down on this side, is a really pretty one. Shadulu fan, you want to think, I'm pretty sure that these animals do eventually get, pins and needles or pinching of their of the nerves, but she moves after a period of time, as anybody will. You sit in a seat for long enough and you start feeling that sort of overwhelming uncomfortableness or feeling of loss of blood. It's time to move. She did sit like this for quite a long time yesterday, and it's quite comfortable on the bottom, I think, and a lot of space for the belly to hang. You often see leopards lying over branches that sort of, instead of sitting like this, they lie with each leg on either side of the branch, hugging it, But when the belly's full, that becomes quite uncomfortable. Okay, so look at she's looking through that little gap. There she is. She's like, turn the lights down. I want to go to sleep now, everybody. Isn't she just a little ridiculous character? Yes. Any of you feel that? The alarm goes off. You just cover your ears, your eyes. Hello, Amy, 10 years old. Do you want to know the biggest prey an animal can kill? Well, leopards have been known to kill wildebeest, young giraffe, young buffalo. I don't know about whatever other big animals, but pretty much any calf of any species is a threat. A leopard is a threat to them. But mum is often there to protect. But we've seen a number of times young giraffe that have been killed and hoisted. I've seen cheetah that have been killed and hoisted by a leopard, which is quite something to behold. And I've seen female waterbuck that have been killed and in a tree by a leopard. So these animals are phenomenally strong. Obviously, you don't expect female leopards to be killing those big animals. It's generally the males who have the strength and the ability to do so. So you don't normally find a female leopard with anything bigger than a Ngala or an impala ram. Every now and again, if they do catch something bigger, the chances of them keeping it are very slim, and you might not even know about it. Like James had Tandy killing a young Ngala bull almost a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And that didn't last very long at all. That light is coming out nicely. That's why she put her head there. She knew the sun was about to get her in her face. You can see how her arm is nicely lit up now. I wonder if you heard those elephants. There's a big noise made there a moment ago. It is a monkey's wedding, everybody. Those of you who don't know what I mean by a monkey's wedding, it's a very South African thing to say. The sun is shining and there are very small, fine raindrops falling. This warm front that has arrived is obviously the precursor to a cold front, and it's brought a bit of cloud, and Phinda was raining, andBeyond Phinda, it was raining yesterday. This is the tail of that, or the front of that. Very gentle little drops. We are covered. We've got our rain covers on for what we need. Not really of any concern. Oh, Tlalamba. You are just gorgeous. Yes, stay right there on the nose, if you don't mind, Theo. Danielle, 10 years old, wants to know if each leopard has a different print. Now, Danielle, each leopard's spots are unique. And the best way that most people use to identify leopards, can you see where her nose is? And then you see all those lines behind going backwards from the nose towards where her leg is. Now, the top of those lines, there's three dots in a line and one just above it. So those are 4. And on the other side, I think it's 5. So those spots are not all exactly unique with leopards, but whenever we look at a leopard, we will often give them a spot pattern, being a 2-3 or 3-3 or 4-4, starting with the right side and then the left side. And then those are often utilized for identification purposes. You will sometimes get females that are both the same spot pattern, but it helps to memorize those things. And then on the body, as Thea goes out and shows you the shoulder and then maybe goes down onto the bottom or the side there, each leopard has got very unique patterns on the body. And with camera traps, there's a lot of organizations that are doing camera trap surveys, and another organization called Panthera is doing huge amounts of leopard research, where you get leopards that walk towards a camera on either side. If you go all the way down the body there, you'll be able to see how it changes. And then when the leopard walks past the camera, there's a camera on either side. It goes off on automatic it goes off automatically, takes a picture, and then you can get the side profile of the leopard. And then with computer programs and with a lot of looking, you can actually see that each individual leopard has got very different spots on the sides, and you can start drawing patterns. Many of our viewers are able to, through screenshots from the show, be able to tell you, because of that specific spot on the right-hand side by the leg or by the bum or wherever it might be, they're able to tell you who that leopard is. It's very helpful for us, especially some of our newer guides who don't know the cats very well. Some of us who've been here a little bit longer, we can recognize their faces quite quickly. But the leopard spots, like our fingerprints, are unique to each individual. And after you've looked at spots, we also look at ears and teeth and scars and possibly injured eyes. Ola, 3 years old, wants to know how many spots that a leopard has. Ola, I've never counted, but I think there's definitely more than 10. I'm almost certain, but it's very hard to count all of the spots. But there's so many spots on them. They're born as a ball of spots, and as they grow older, that gold starts to push through, and the spots, or what we call here rosettes, because they're not solid spots all over the place. Around the head and arms and back legs, there are solid spots, but on the body, there are those rosettes where there's like a ring of dark with bronze or gold in between. So to try and count them all, it really does take some time, but I'm sure someone has done it. I've never spent enough time to try and count. I always lose count once I run out of fingers and toes. So I've always gotten to at least 20.
And I'll walk around the background. Yay! I was getting a little bit worried there, I will admit. It's quite late in the morning for them to have got up, but it is this cold wind for sure. I mean, like I say, this took me completely blindsided. I should have checked not just checked the forecast, but what the temperature was, but I should have checked the wind conditions. But at least I'm very, very pleased now that we know the meerkats are here. I'm always like really, really worried when it starts hitting this time, and I didn't want to say that earlier, but when it starts kind of like hitting this time and there's no sign of them, I'm like, something's going on here. But I'm very pleased now. So sure, that was a close one. Good morning, you cutie. Yeah, I think they're all staying in bed this morning because of this weather. Yeah. But they'll go out foraging. Today's it's cold now, but the temperature will pick up quickly, I think. It shouldn't stick around for too long, this cold wind and that, so. I'm absolutely crazy over honey badgers. I would happily see a honey badger 365 days a year, and I would never get bored of it ever. But I am, so if one had to rock up at these burrows and that, I would be ecstatic. But at the same time, I would be incredibly torn between seeing badger and the meerkats. Ooh. Ray has just asked a great question pertaining to the burrows and this environment. And the question that's been asked is, if it rains, will these burrows ever flood? Okay, so to give you some idea, and how to answer that, to give you some idea is of the kind of rain we have. We don't have a very high rainfall. It's about 350 millimeters a year, 300 to 350 mils, sometimes a lot less. Sometimes considerably more, but our average is 300 to 350 per year. I've seen in one shower of rain, okay, in one night, we had over 200 millimeters of rain. Okay, and rainfall events like that, although uncommon, they will definitely flood burrows. There's no question. I mean, just that volume of rain over such over 8-9 hour time frame is just massive for any region. So then you'll get burrows flooded. That being said, the water holding capacity, the drainage capacity on these deep sands is quite phenomenal. I've worked on reserves where we used to close areas on the reserve, even like the roads. If you had 7 millimeters of rain or more, that's nothing. 7 mils of rain is nothing. It's a sprinkling, and yet the roads just become so soaked that you can't drive on them. Here, if you can have 60, 70, you can have 100 mils, and you can still utilize these roads with no impact. So there's a massive capacity. So flooding of burrows is not normally a problem whatsoever. The water drains away so quickly on the sand.
Yes, indeed, you did manage to see some meerkats, which is some other areas which you don't have, like the side of us, we don't have that meerkats. We appreciate it to see them right in front of us. We have got an eagle, which is also part of hunting. What they are, most eagles, they're using eyes to hunt, and in order to get a chance to go straight and land. This is one of the bird of prey. It is a brown snake eagle. Brown snake eagle, it's have got an opportunity to fly close to 500 meters away on top, on the air. It's in very good eyesighting, all the eagles. They are very, very good eyesight, but not exactly through to martial eagle. Martial eagle, it's a recommended almost more than 1 kilometer on ice, that they can see close to 1,500 meters. That is nearly 1.5 kilo in a distance. So if you can see, look, one area for this 1 to 10 seconds, that means it's seeing a movement of something. They've got a big head and a tiny little bit mouth. The beak for them, it is strong. Sometimes if they catch the snake taking long time to die, it's flying up more than 200 meters and it's dropped. You know that immediately when it arrives on the ground, it will be dead, and while following down, so that can manage to kill the snake. Tailor-made, the highest eagle that can see far from the distance, it is martial eagle, that can see 1,500 meters. So this one can see almost a half to more than, or 500, from 500 to 700 meters. They are very, very good eyesighting. If you heard the bush, there are some other birds calling. It's also hunting as well, that can see some nest where it can manage to get something, or to see the juvenile baby birds. They also look, oh, it's fly off. That was fantastic. They can manage to see as they're moving towards, they saw something, they want to It's flying off and went through to the other side, so we'll move forward.
There we go. So now this is absolutely classic. So the pups are just starting to come out, but we've got 4 adult meerkats out now, but each one at a different burrow entrance. So I have no idea how they figure out who's going to bed and who's going to bed with who and which hole they're going to be down. They obviously have their own quirky way of working all this out, but it's so interesting. And you tend to think, well, they're all just going to go huddle down one hole in a big round heap of fur, and yet they just don't do that. So, but the pups are just sticking their heads out now. They're just kind of like waking up. They don't even have their coffee yet. Hi, gorgeous. Hey. Yes, they are. Cute little things. So the one that's closest to us here, right in the front of the camera, this is probably the most encouraging thing apart from seeing all the pups. So Excalibur's asked, why aren't the meerkats afraid of us? So Excalibur, we've been working on these meerkats for months now. Not just us as the team that's on the ground here with WildEarth and the filming, but we got a meerkat habituators that spend time with these animals, and they've been spending a lot of time with this particular group of meerkats over the past couple of months. And when Jeandre arrived here, we've spent the past 2 months, not 2 months, we've spent the past 7 weeks with these meerkats every single day. Well, we've missed a couple of days here and there, but we've put a huge amount of effort. So they're just really habituated to us. They don't see us as a threat or anything. So that's really good. And what I was going to say just now, leading on from that, one of the meerkats that was sitting out in this burrow closest to Darby now, he's just gone down again. But it's probably the single most encouraging thing about, apart from having these incredibly adorable pups, having been born in that, but that one meerkat out of this group was always super wary of us, very nervous, didn't want to know anything about it, and he's now become very relaxed as well. So that just shows that's been time well spent, and it's just a bit of patience. But look at these pups. Oh my goodness, these adults are going to have their work cut out for them, I can tell you now. And it is going to be, yes, this one wants to come have a look at Davy right here. Look at this little one right here. You just stick on this hole there, Davy, you'll see there's a pup that's going to come out right here. So this pup came like crawling along this entrance straight up towards him, and it's just gone back down, but it'll come out now. There you go. Look. Just gone down again. Oh my goodness. It's like, yeah, what is this big meerkat doing sitting in front of my burrow here? But to give you, and it's always very difficult when you're seeing them, on the screen like that. But the distance that Davy is from this burrow is about 3.5-4 meters away. So that's a nice, comfortable distance. Yeah, there's the meerkat. You can see that little one sitting there's not concerned about him at all. It occasionally looks at him and then just looks away, doing its normal sentry duty. And that's really what we want. This is what we've been striving for. And it doesn't matter whether it's meerkats or an African wildcat or an eagle or a leopard. You really want to be impartial observers of what's happening in nature. And that's very, very, very important for me as a guide, to be able to show that to people. Man, they are awesome animals on so many different levels. And what a lovely, what I was going to say, and this, it sounds so crazy. I was going to say how well adapted they are for their environments, and that's enabled them to survive for so long. And I'm not talking about the individual meerkat that we're looking at, but the lineage of meerkats. As mongoose, Mongai. mongooses. You know, they've persisted in these environments for millions of years, to the point where here we are one day sitting at a little point in a graph. And yet, however amazing that is, just think every other organism out here, from the microbes in the soil, to the largest animals that we have out here, to the plants, every single thing has come to this point through this massive evolutionary process over millions and millions and millions of years. And so the survival strategies are all very, very different, all very, very unique, but all so well placed to enable them to survive to these points that we are at now. And I think that is quite a remarkable thing. And it's also just, this is why it is so critical that we conserve these environments. Dora says the meerkats are fab, I think. Oh, Dora, thank you. The meerkat whisperer. Ah, geez, I don't know about that, but thank you. So, the thing is, I can't whisper anymore, otherwise I can't even hear myself. I'm so deaf. I'm going to get myself some kudu ears. Some of those big, I'm going to make some silicone kudu ears. And I'm going to wear them on my hat one day. Maybe that'll help my hearing. Yes, these are, oh, what a sighting. Ooh, there's a good question. Sassia has asked, do the meerkats have any markings that enable us to identify them? And, you know, referring to individuals. And yes and no. You know, yes, absolutely. If you can look at meerkats closely enough, our colleagues down in the other areas, they, you know, I know they've been chatting about identifying lions, which can actually be quite difficult, believe it or not, especially in large prides with all the lionesses. And there's different ways of doing that using, you know, whisker patterns and. Obviously, it gets easier if the animals start getting marks on them, you know, wear and tear. So that's, you know, they're catching a warthog and they get a big gash across the face, you know, and there's a scar on the face, or a rip out of an ear, or a kinked tail, that kind of stuff. So meerkats are also incredibly difficult to identify individuals, particularly in the larger group sizes. So when you start hitting groups of 15, 20, 30, 40 meerkats, which you get groups up to those sizes, it becomes incredibly difficult to identify individuals unless they have very, very, very specific and easily identifiable marks on them. Like one's had its tail chopped off. I mean, not chopped, bitten off, sorry. No one's chopping meerkat tails off. Calm down. Yeah, so you can get things like that. And to give you some idea of just how difficult it can be to identify them, the best research that's ever been done on meerkats takes place just up the road here at a wonderful facility called the Kudu River Reserve. And they've been doing fantastic research on meerkats and a couple of other things as well for many, 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 many years. And those meerkats are incredibly habituated, and they know these colonies, the life histories in so much detail. But so they know the individual animals incredibly well. But even there, they actually use a organic hair dye, and they just put a little spot of this on various, on different animals at different points to enable the researchers to accurately identify individuals within the group. So great question, and they can be difficult to identify.
I believe that we did enjoy our meerkat. Right over here in front, we also have got some kudus, which is the best meat in the bush. So kudu have got some stripe, and at the tail it's whitish. Kudu is the second largest antelope here in Kruger. So you can see it's bruising. together with the fork-tailed dronga. That fork-tailed dronga, whatever where it is, it's also waiting, and it's benefiting from the kudu if it's chasing some cricket or locust and then some insect, whatever it is that they can manage to catch. This is the young kudu male, which they do not yet fully grown. The fully grown one have got a very, very, very big sparrow horn. That long time ago, the headmen were using the kudu horn to blow it, to call everyone to come for the meeting, as he want to tell them the time, like a long time ago, there is a time for plowing, now we can do something, or we want to tell them something coming from the chief. As it's running off, let it reposition a little bit forward, where we can manage to get that male one. Very, very much on. You can see how big it is, that horn. I will move back.
You know, whenever our colleagues was asked earlier about how far can an eagle see, and it's all relative. You know, how far. We know these things have got really, really good eyesight. But what's just blowing my mind here, we've got a meerkat out on the far left-hand side of the group over there. And you can see it staring. It's consistently staring in one direction. It glances away every now and again. I cannot see. I'm standing here with a really decent pair of binoculars, and I cannot see what that meerkat is looking at. Whatever it's seeing, it's not eliciting any kind of alarming response there, so it's not giving its alarm bark or anything, but it's definitely locked onto something. Now what that something is, I have absolutely no idea. There's some chat flycatchers flying around there, but nothing that would be of any kind of concern to a meerkat. But the thing's obviously picked up something that it's keeping an eye on, and I cannot see it from my vantage point here. So yeah, their eyesight is, and meerkats are renowned for having such good eyesight. I'm always keen to try to see what they're seeing, because sometimes it could be a raptor like flying far away that they can see. Okay, there's no concern, the thing's moving in a different direction. Or it could be a jackal that's trotting past again at a safe distance. But it's always worth trying to figure out what they're seeing, because you never know. You never know what rocks up there. Maybe it'll be our nemesis, this African wildcat. But I think if there's an African wildcat, I know if there was an African wildcat here, these guys would be going absolutely bananas. Meerkats and African wildcats do not mix. They mix inside the African wildcat. Yeah. Here's a question for the morning. What's brown and smells like a meerkat? African wildcat droppings. Alvi has just asked, how deep are the meerkat burrows? So these burrows normally don't go down very, very deep. You'll probably find at a meter down, that would probably be give or take the most. Sometimes a little bit deeper, but normally a meter tops. And also, these burrows can become quite intricate in terms of being linked underground or not. So some of these burrows are definitely linked and others aren't. And in terms of soil temperature, down below. Once you've passed 40 centimeters, 40, 50 centimeters, the temperature is relatively stable. And I'm glad you asked that question, because this afternoon when we go out, well, we're probably going to be doing, for those of you who are interested, it'll be pretty cool. We're going to be doing a stakeout at the dam, you know, the dam where we sit quietly normally. It always produces some good viewing, so we'll probably be there, and I'll bring some fun show and tell things with as well. And one of them, if I remember, I'll need a reminder, but if I remember, I'll bring a really cool little graph from one of our researchers on soil temperature profiles going from summer into winter, and why that is so important. So yeah, so these burrows, once you're below 40, 50 centimeters, there's not a huge amount of merit in trying to go a whole lot of deeper in terms of your energy that you're expending to do that. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, that though, the burrows, because there's the other side of it is the shallower the burrow is, the greater the likelihood of a burrow collapse. In other words, if you've got a giraffe stepping and the burrow is only 20 centimeters down, well, there's probably a good chance that it's going to collapse. A burrow that's 50 centimeters is probably less likely, you know. So it's kind of, I guess, trying to find that balance between what works structurally and practically. Well, so I'm still very relieved that these meerkats are here. I was getting, and I didn't want to say it, but I was starting to get like a little bit, by 8:30, 8:45, if there's no sign of a meerkat, then I'm starting to get like worried. So, but all's well that ends well. Yes, these are beautiful days, eh? It's so good to be out here. And good to have you with us, yeah. So I hope wherever you are, you're all snug and warm, that you're all wrapped up, sitting with coffee or whatever you're doing, just that you're enjoying it. So Andrea's asked a fun question there, and the question is, do meerkats have good eyesight? And their other senses, are their other senses good? All their senses are exceptionally acute. Their sense of smell is insanely good. I mean, they'll go around ding, 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 and then dig, and they scenting prey under the ground. Very, very good. Their hearing is great, or it's good. Their hearing's good, but I don't think very good for direction, because you can see their ears are very, very tiny. Their little external pinna, you know, their ears are very small, and they can actually close those off as well when they go underground to prevent sand getting into them. So I think because they don't have like these big like radar-like ears like Kudu have got, rhino, all the antelope and that. So I think they can hear okay, but maybe not that good for direction. But their eyesight is phenomenal. They'll be seeing a raptor flying, even with a pair of binoculars, you won't be able to see that bird before they see it. Their eyesight is really good.
Well, when your life is adapted to defending yourself against aerial predators, you get very good at spotting them. And Kalamba's not spotting much at the moment, everybody. She's turned around so her face is away from the rising sun, and she's in a bit of shadow. Pulling a little leaf out of Tundi's book there. I thought she might go feed again. She jumped up onto the branch with her kill, but she's turned her back to it. Her tail is resting on it. There she is. There's the positioning I was telling you earlier about the legs dangling. Maya, no, leopards see in black and white. Most animals do. They've got what we call rod cells as a dominant sort of eye design. Rod cells assist in seeing in black and white. Well, they see in black and white, but what they do is they allow animals to see much better in darkness. You know which animals can see in color by the ones that have coloration. Birds, monkeys, baboons, Colors are very important for them with regards to mating, ripeness of fruit as well. And most of those animals are not active at night. So herbivore animals that are not necessarily wanting to be active at night are out here in the open, and they are obviously under threat from predation. So having cone cells allows them, rod cells allows them to see better in the darkness and gives them a little bit more of an advantage. But the predators, though, being able to see in the dark better and being able to change the aperture of their eye to allow more light in, make them the supreme nocturnal predator or species. Many of them change that light setting on the eyes. In the daytime, when you saw her earlier, she had little pinpricks. She was able to change the dilation. Right now, though, she's not doing much with regards to dilation. She's doing a little bit of snoring. Wonderful bird calls in the background. Cape turtle dove. Cole, yes, leopards are always solitary hunters. The only time you find leopards in a group is when they are with cubs or if there is a mating pair. But the males definitely will not help the females hunt. If anything, they will steal. It's got a little spider web on the end there. There's a lilac-breasted roller. Yes, very good. This guy's been very busy. He's trying to attack everybody. Every bird that's moving around, he keeps trying to smash them. Saying, it's my area. I want all the insects on the ground and all the insects that are blooming here, please. Okay, so we're probably going to move off shortly and head on back home for some breakfast.
So these little meerkats are still sunning themselves. They're going to be spending I think a substantial amount of time at the burrows this morning with this cold wind that's blowing, and it is still nippy. I could do with an extra jacket this morning, but so I think they're going to be around here for a little while yet. You'd remember pretty well, very often just close to the end of the show, we've actually had them moving off already. But this morning, I think they're going to be sticking around here a little bit longer. I'm still quite keen to see when they're going to actually be shifting burrows, and that I think is going to happen quite soon. Thank you, Andrea. She's learned so much today. And no, I really appreciate that. And it's just, I'm also learning every single day we go out here. I'm so far from having answers for all of these things, and no one can. But it's just about, I think the key thing in nature is just being observant and being willing to learn about things. And you're never going to get everything in books. That shelduck was a wonderful example. Yeah, the literature says the male sits there, when she's incubating, the male's always there. Well, either she's not incubating, or the literature's wrong. So either way, we're going to learn, between us as a team, we're going to learn what's going on with these shelducks. And same with the meerkats. The more time you spend with them, sitting quietly, watching, in an impartial manner, that's how we learn. And this is a big team effort. All of you viewers, and our cameraman, Davy, Jean-Ray, the other guys, our colleagues, are spending time. This is how we understand animals. Or try. We'll never understand them properly, but we can work towards it, I guess. So, we started off with 5 pups. We're down to 3 now. Looking at how active these pups are, I'm actually very confident that we're going to be, even now I'd say we're probably going to see these ones reaching at least sub-adult stage, which I'm very, very happy about. Yes, they're cute, man. And now they're becoming active. Anyway, I really hope you all have an incredibly wonderful day, and we will see you this afternoon. Stay safe.